hello, my name is Brooke. Welcome back to my channel. My pronouns are she, her, and welcome to another weekly reading vlog. We're still reading Priory of the Orange Tree for my first prompt of Magical Readathon hosted by Book Roast. I'll link it down below. I'm on page 429, 52% of the way through, so we're just over halfway there, and I have lots of time off this week. So I'm desperately hoping that I'm going to finish Priory of the Orange Tree in the first half of the week so that I can move on. I would just love to move on. I don't know if starting with my longest book in this readathon was the best decision, but here we are. And I am determined to finish this book. I'm currently feeling underwhelmed with Priory of the Orange Tree. It's definitely high fantasy, but I'm just like meh about it, you know? It's not impressing me yet. However, lots of people say that the second half is better, and it has to have all the hype it gets for a reason, you would think. So I'm staying hopeful that the second half of the book is gonna wow me and make me forget all about how boring the first half of the book is. Is it a hot take? Maybe. So far for me, like, the characters just feel quite flat, like they don't really have much personality, and I think that's the biggest reason why I'm not impressed with what's going on. I do like the political intrigue, and I like that we're kind of circling something with all the different POVs. That I like. However, the characters just aren't adding to the story for me as I wish that they were. There's like one POV that I really enjoy. The rest of them I'm like hit and miss. That's where I'm at with that. I'm going to continue reading that. However, today my very good friend Kaylee is coming up. She is traveling through where I live, so she's going to spend the night at my house, and so she arrives today in approximately an hour or so. So I am just getting ready to have her in my house. So I have a bit of tidying, a bit of cleaning to do. I'm gonna clean up my car because we are going to the bookstore. We're definitely going to the one that I work at, and possibly a secondhand bookstore if it's open. We're gonna take a peek, but we're gonna hit up one bookstore at least for sure. And then I don't know what we're gonna do this evening, but you might see her on the channel. I'm very excited to see her. I haven't seen her in almost a full year. Last summer is the last time I saw her, in like June or July maybe? I don't know. She's a book lover as well, so obviously, if you couldn't tell because we were going to the bookstore. So we will come chat about what we've purchased at the bookstore. If we purchase anything, I know I'm purchasing something. Bookman! Out the window. We don't know her. Sorry to my bank account. Ah, this is Kaylee. Hello. She just got in. We are going now to the bookstore and probably grab some lunch, some snacks, do something for dinner.
Buy more books. Not like you need them.
I'm being called out. Listen, book buying and book reading, two different hobbies.
Okay. Sure.
I don't care about your opinion.
Valid. Fair.
We're back. Not a crazy time at the bookstore. We just kind of, it's not that big. It's kind of small. But now we're gonna do a book haul. Kaylee, what'd you buy?
I bought the Grand Duchess, which was actually at Walmart for 30% off, which is about the revolution in Russia with the Tsar and Anastasia. Never heard about it before, but the first page seemed really interesting, so I'm excited to read the rest of it.
I think it's a fairly new release as well.
I think so, yeah. Usually Walmart's pretty on top of that, keep the newer things in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have no self-control. I bought a good old stack. Are we really that shocked?
No.
No.
And you did actually put two back.
I did.
So there was some restraint.
A smidge. Just a little. I picked up You've Reached Sam, which I've heard a lot about. I've heard it's gonna make me cry, but I keep looking at it in the store. And so I was like, you know what? I'll just pick it up. Also, the cover is a stunner, and it's pretty under the dust jacket too. Then I picked up Gideon the Ninth. Oh, I hate the shiny covers when I'm trying to show the book. Gideon the Ninth, which is a fantasy, and lesbian necromancers. I was just about to say, as far as I know, it's sapphic, but literally it just...
That's not what I thought you were gonna say.
Okay, wait, it gets better. Lesbian...
Does it?
Yes. Lesbian necromancers explore a haunted Gothic palace in space. Kaylee's questioning what my reading choice is. However, a friend of mine read this and really liked it, and it's really, really popular. So I thought I would give it a go.
It sounds like the sequel to Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Maybe
Actually,
it is.
is what that sounds like.
I'll let you know, it might be.
Enjoy.
I will. I think that I will. And then in the bookstore we got this like cute little Book Talk bestsellers boxed set. Say that 5 times fast.
No.
It's just like 4 books that are like super popular on Book Talk. I'm just gonna tell you what they are. We have We Were Liars by E. Lockhart, which I mean is everywhere. I also hear this is stupid sad, but I hear this is an easy 5-star read. We have The Gilded Ones, which has been on my list for a while. It's a YA fantasy. House of Salt and Sorrows, which is also YA fantasy.
Did you say Salt and Sorrows?
Yeah, Salt and Sorrows. House of Salt and Sorrows.
It's like a leech torture house.
A what?
Leeches. You put salt in them and they shrivel up and fall off.
A leech torture house. If it's not about leeches now, I'm gonna be upset. Disappointed. 1 star.
1 star, thumbs down. No leeches.
Not enough tortured leeches.
I'm glad that you can like cut stuff out because this makes this easier.
I'm keeping a lot of that. And then the last book in this is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson, which is also just everywhere, and I've heard it's phenomenal. So I looked at this box set, and it's a bunch of books that I already wanted to read, so I went, yeah, it's a deal. That's what I bought today. Like I said, book buying ban? Don't know her.
Not a thing.
What? Who? Me? No. So now we're just gonna sit and chill, try and find something to watch, maybe a movie. But we have snacks
And drink.
Where's mine? What did I do with it? Did I not have it in my hand?
You did. Brooke. Could you just...
I would
For
forget.
like 2 minutes.
I would
Get
lose
your
my
shit
head if
together.
it wasn't screwed on.
We got
Anyways,
2.
we're drinking Pure Leaf, which is our routine. It's a ritual for us friendship.
Yeah. If we watch a movie or
We do
hang out or like
anything,
anything, Pure
have
Leaf
to
is
have
involved.
Lemon.
But they
Pure
didn't
Leaf
have the big
lemon.
ones at the grocery store or at Walmart, so
No,
we're
we
pretty
had to get the
sure
little one.
there's a Pure Leaf lemon
Shortage.
shortage.
It's very sad.
It's a mystery.
Anyways, that's the evening. We thought we'd update you on the haul of the day.
And the modicum of self-restraint.
By
I
Kaylee,
own
not
one
me.
book.
Good morning. So, Kaylee left yesterday. I ended up going into work not long after she left, so I actually didn't read. It's now Tuesday, and I have not read since Saturday. Who am I? What's happening? What's going on? Something's wrong. So I'm desperate to read today. I'm on chapter 40, page 429 of Priory of the Orange Tree, 52% of the way through. So just over the halfway mark, which is wild, thankfully. And I do have a few hours before I have to go to work today, so I am going to read. I'm caught up on everything else that I need to do today, so I'm just going to read. Hopefully get a decent page count in before I go to work. I would love to have this finished as soon as possible. It's not that I'm not enjoying the book, because I am, but it's just so long and it's just such a long time to stay with one story. And I'm so excited to read the other books for my other prompts. What are my other prompts, you ask? Great question, let me tell you. So I have 4 courses that I'm taking at Aurelium for spring equinox. We have Inscription, which is to read an intimidating read, which I'm currently reading Priory of the Orange Tree for. The second class I have is Illusion, which is to read a book with a trope that you like. For this, I've chosen to read a sequel to a book called The Storm Crow by Kaylin Josephson. The sequel is called The Crow Rider. I really enjoyed book one. The trope that I like is the enemies to lovers, and also it's like giant magical crows, and it had mental health rep, it had LGBTQIA plus rep. So overall I was very pleasantly surprised by book one, so I'm really looking forward to reading book two, so I chose that. The next class I have is lore, which is to read a book with mythology. For that I have chosen fairly recent release, Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Sulin Tan. This is so popular right now. I've been hearing nothing but good and amazing things about this book, so I'm actually super excited to get into that. The last class that I have is like a divination class, and that's to read a book set in the future. And so for that I am choosing Scythe, which is a really popular YA read. I know next to nothing about it. However, it's pretty popular and other people were reading it for this prompt. So I went, yeah, okay. I am not a huge sci-fi fan, and so I didn't want to read something like super sci-fi for this prompt. So this one kind of feels a little bit dystopian, but also fantasy. And so I think I will enjoy it more so than if I picked like a big kid sci-fi book, you know? We're gonna give that a shot. Like I said, I know next to nothing about it. I enjoy going into books, especially like that sort of genre, the sci-fi, like the fantasy genre, knowing very little, because I get surprised, which I enjoy. So that's that. I also have a few quests that I'm going to do. So every like few days, G from Book Roast, who's hosting this whole readathon, will post a quest, and so they can be either for unlimited mages, which is kind of everybody, and then she has some calling specific quests as well. And it's just like a little fun extra thing you can do with a fun extra prompt for a book you could read. So I have a few of those that I'm hoping to do. With having only 4 courses, that kind of frees me up to take more quests and get points for my guild, which is super exciting. So I have, I think, 4 quests right now that I would love to do. For example, like one of them is to read a book with the letter D in the title. So I think for that I'm going to read The Gilded Wolves, and I'm super pumped about that. An Instagram filter told me I should read it, so obviously I should. Duh. I am just so excited to read books that I desperately want to finish. The ginormous one that I decided to start with for whatever reason, so that I can move on and read all the other books that I'm excited to read. So that's that. I'm gonna go read now, and I will see you later. Good morning. It's like 11 a.m. I have to leave for work soon, and I've just been doing some reading this morning. I'm now on chapter 49, page 506, and I will say that I am enjoying this book a lot more now. Some of the POVs are overlapping and a lot more is happening. The characters are getting more personality. So I think I will be able to read the last 300 pages pretty quickly, and definitely be able to finish this book this week. Right now, I'm thinking this book is gonna get a 3.5. I think it has a lot of potential to be great. It just misses the mark a bit. You know? There tends to be a lot of like blackout reappearances when something major is happening. Like we kind of lead up to what could be like a really intense sort of fight, and the author like blacks out and then reappears after the conflict happens, and I really just dislike that. People say that the author apparently doesn't like to write fight scenes, and I think that that's just such like it's so unfortunate, because I think not having it, having this sort of like jump skip really takes away from the book and the story and the intensity, and I don't love that. So I'm kind of like, meh. But I'm liking the direction that everything is going, that the story itself is going. I just don't necessarily love how it's been transcribed on paper. You know, like, it's very clear to me that Samantha Shannon had very specific ideas of where this story was going, and that's being followed. Like, everything feels intentional, which I love, but it just misses the mark on execution, which is sad. Good morning. Oh man, I'm out of breath. I just came up the stairs. Today is the day that I am determined to finish Priory of the Orange Tree. I have the day off, except for a singing lesson, and I desperately want to finish this book today. I'm on page 586 of 804 like actual reading chapters, pages. What? 804 subtract 586. I have 218 pages left of this book, and I'm determined to finish it today. So I have my tea. I'm in my little cozy window seat reading nook, and I'm just gonna binge the rest of this book. I'm like enjoying it, but it's just dragging. Like, we could speed things along, you know? We're gonna finish it today and move on to other things. I'm excited. You're probably excited to see me read something other than this ginormous book. I'm nearly done. If you thought this was an update to say I'm done, not yet. Close. I'm on page 724, which means I'll be done within the hour if I just keep reading. I'm having some difficulties with the ending. The pacing is like really bizarre. Like, the first half of the book is really slow. It takes its time. It indulges in the setup. And then the second half of the book is like jump skips everywhere. We're suddenly in the middle of wild action out of seemingly nowhere. And I just go, what is going on? So we are rapidly being catapulted into the ending. And I'm intrigued as to how it's gonna go. We have 80 pages left in the book for this big end fight to happen. I don't know. Also, the weather went from rainy and foggy to completely sunny. So I'm going to go spend some time outside with my cat and read outside for a bit and hopefully finish this book. I did it. I finished the behemoth that is The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. I've just finished writing my review up for it as well. And it's never taken me so long to read 200 pages in my entire life. We'll start there. Overall, I enjoyed it, but I'm also disappointed and underwhelmed by it. I've given it a solid 3 out of 5 stars. Charlie is chewing on some cardboard, if you can hear that. I wanted to love this book. I really, really did. However, it just fell flat for me. It's an ambitious story that probably would have done better, not as a standalone, but as a series. I just felt like the execution of the storytelling fell flat. I loved the idea. I loved the political drama. I loved how the 4 POVs built and interweaved and circled each other. I really enjoyed that aspect. However, I felt like the characters lacked personality and depth for like the first half of the book until we hit sort of the rising action, because I just didn't care about hardly any of them until much later in the book. There were like two of them that I really like. Was like, yeah, I like these chapters, you know? The other thing is the pacing of the book is so inconsistent and just really lets it down for me. The first 400 pages are really slow, and we take our time to learn the history and establish the relationships and direction of the characters and POVs, which I didn't hate. Could those 400 pages be condensed? Yes, they certainly could, but I enjoyed like the slow unraveling of learning what all the significance to these characters and POVs was, and I liked that. There was like a fluidness and ease within that I did enjoy. I did wish that we had some more action, that it was a little faster paced, but I enjoyed that overall. And then we kind of hit the rising action and I was like, yes, awesome, super. But that kind of like started going up and then petered out for about 300 pages. Within that, there was a lot of like jump skips that really jarred me. They kind of like ran right over moments of conflict. A chapter would end just as a fight was about to take place, and the next chapter would start after the fight finished. And I think skipping those moments, you miss a lot of like really important details and character development that can happen within that sort of conflict. There's just something about like fight scenes and the thought process of a character during intense moments like that I think endear you to the characters first and foremost, and also like drive the story. And so when you skip over those moments, you lose something. And there was a lot of that sort of skipping and jumping from moment to moment that I thought just kind of pulled away from the story. And then in like the last 200 pages, the pacing like sped all the way up. We were like barreling towards the climax, and a lot of it was action based, but it felt really, really rushed. And I was like, wait, I was like reading and suddenly I was like, wait, what's happening right now? How did we get here? What is going on? Like a character would just stumble into like heavy moments of action with very little lead up, and you were like, what? Wait, I have to go back and read that again, because what is happening? So that, it just felt jarring and a little bit like choppy for me in those moments. And like the last 200 pages, we were still learning new information and new plot points that I had wished were introduced way earlier in the book. Or if it was a series, we could have explored those a lot more in a second book instead of having to shove it all into one standalone. It made the last 200 chapters like very rushed. We lost this sort of fluidness and ease that we had started with, which I really liked. And then because of that, we missed out on some really great moments in the book. For example, Ede and Tane are meant to learn how to work together and understand the part that they play in the great final battle scene, but we never see that. It's never mentioned, really. It's never like sort of explained or talked about. It's just understood that that's a thing they have to do, and then you're like, oh, I guess that happened because now it's the battle. And I would have loved to see them kind of work together a lot more and try and figure that out. There was a lot of little moments like that I would have loved to see. So it was just like little things that it was like, I wish we had more of that. I wish that was more developed instead of this. And then the final battle scene was chaos. And I understand that like battles are chaotic, but as a reader, I was like, there is so much going on. I don't really know what's happening. And because we missed out on some of those scenes, I wasn't entirely sure what was necessary to succeed in the battle. Like the things that needed to happen, I was like, I don't really know what's going on or how we're gonna do this. And I think by having it into one huge book, we lose a lot of important information. The other thing about information is that this book is a lot of info dumping. It's a lot of telling and not showing. And that, I think, adds up to the page count. I think we could have just shown a lot of stuff instead of telling and repeating certain things over and over again. It's just a bit expositional. It's a bit like draggy, which is unfortunate because I loved the idea, and I think that a lot of it is very intentional, was really thought out and planned, specific. It just lacked execution for me, and that it didn't live up to the hype. It's not a bad book by any means. It's like really enjoyable, and there are some moments in there that really rocked, that I was like, yes, this is what I want. This is good. But overall, it just fell flat for me, and it didn't quite live up to the hype. So it got a 3. However, I do feel proud of myself for finishing it. I feel like I have made an accomplishment, and that is officially the first book of the Magical Readathon Spring Equinox under my belt. It took me 2 weeks, but we did it. We got there. I can move on. I'm hoping now that the next books that I read, I'm just gonna blow right through. I can just bang them out, you know? I do think I'm going to start my next book. I think I'm gonna move into my lore class, which is to read a book with mythology, and for that I'm reading Daughter of the Moon Goddess, which is a recent release that has been getting like rave reviews, and I'm super excited about it. It sounds so good. So I think I am going to start that book tonight. I might only get like a chapter into it, but I just want to start it and see what it's kind of about. I'm also off tomorrow because tomorrow is Good Friday. It's a holiday. I plan to read again all day long. I just need the accomplishment of quickly finishing a book after reading the mammoth that is The Priory of the Orange Tree. Just about to head to bed. I have been reading Daughter of the Moon Goddess all day long. I'm on page 293, chapter 24. I've just been binge reading this. I'm getting through it really fast. I expect to finish this book tomorrow. It feels so good to finish a book in like 2 days, you know? Just to be able to binge read it. I'm really enjoying it so far. She's angsty, and I love it. Also, I have high suspicions on who the villain is, and I have peeked, so I know that I'm right, and I go, oh, this is gonna get so tense and angsty, and I swear it just better end how I want it to end, or I'll cry. I know there is another book coming out in, I believe, November, a sequel to this, and I'm already so excited for it. This is easily going to be like a 4 or 5 star read, I think. It's really enjoyable. I can see why it's getting so much hype, and so far I'm agreeing. I just love it. I love the storytelling as well. It's a beauty, this one. Also, today I managed to nab myself a calling specific quest. It's basically just like extra reading prompts. Today there was finally a Story Weaver quest, and I was off today because it's a holiday, so I was able to nab it. I'm so excited. The quest is that I'm helping to bring stories to life to make like a really trippy reading experience. That's the quest. So I'm like, yeah, okay, who doesn't want that? Seems like a great idea to me. The reading prompt for that is to read a book from a new to you author. And that is so simple. I have that down pat. There are so many books that I own on my TBR that are from an author that I've never read before. Easy. The hardest part is gonna be choosing which one. Which one? Anyways, I'm just excited that I got a calling specific quest. I'm very happy with how much reading I got done today. Nearly 300 pages. I was reaching for the 300 page mark, and I know I'm so close, but I'm just so tired. So I'll get there in the morning. update. I am 355 pages into Daughter of the Moon Goddess, and I'm gonna finish this book today. Like 100% I'm gonna finish this book today. What time is it? 10? I have about another hour and a bit before I have to head out. I am going to pick up an order I've placed at a local store, and I'm very excited about it. And then I have to work. So I'm going to go make myself some tea and breakfast and read for the rest of that time. But I really like this book. Like, I can see why everyone is freaking out over it, because it's just beautiful storytelling. It's very mystical, and she's a bit angsty as well, and I just love that. So I can't wait to keep reading it, and I'm like super stoked already. I haven't even finished this book, but I'm super stoked for the sequel. Like, I think it's gonna be banging. Also, can we just appreciate the fact that I am pulling off a low ponytail today? And I'm very much giving off like 1960s librarian vibes today, so I'm high on my horse today. Good morning. I finished Daughter of the Moon Goddess last night. It's a 5 stars. It's a 5-star for me. Nobody can say a single bad word about this book to me. It will just bounce off of me. I will not hear it. Not at all. I won't listen. It's just beautiful. You know when you read a book and there's just something so special about it? This book has that. And I don't know what it is, but the storytelling is just so captivating and so full. It feels masterful, and it's so well crafted. The characters have so much depth, and there's so much going on in their brains, and I just loved every second of this book. Like, I have nothing bad to say about it. I can see why it's getting all the hype it gets. Like, it's well worth it, in my opinion. It's a beautiful story. I'm so excited for the sequel that comes out in November. Book 1 doesn't end on a cliffhanger. It wraps up most of the plot points, but there are a few things that are sort of incomplete, unfinished, and that's what Book 2 is going to deal with, I think, and I'm super stoked for that. The relationships at the end of this book aren't a sure thing, and so I'm so interested to see where it goes. We have a bit of a love triangle going on in this book, and at the end we're kind of leaning one direction, but I am unsure whether it's going to stay in that direction or not. And I don't know how I feel about that. So I'm just like very impatiently waiting for book 2. What a wonderful way to wrap up this week's reading vlog by finishing this book. I just feel so good to have read and finished a book that isn't Priory of the Orange Tree. Don't get me wrong, I didn't hate Priory of the Orange Tree. It just didn't grasp and grip me like other things did. This, for example. And so I feel as though this week I accomplished a great many things. I finished the 800-pager that is Priory of the Orange Tree, and I finished this 500-page book in like no time at all. So that's now 2 of my magical readathon prompts done, completed. It feels so good. What a way to end a week. Wonderful. So the next book I have moved on to is The Crow Rider by Kaylin Josephson, which is for my Art of Illusion prompt, which is to read a book with a trope you really like. This one is Enemies to Lovers, and it is the sequel to The Storm Crow, and I just really love these books. They have like excellent rep, LGBTQIA+ rep. It's like very normalized, which I love, adore. More of that, please. It also has a lot of great mental health rep. It's centered around depression, but the way it's talked about and dealt with, I don't see too much of in especially fantasy books. So I really love that as well. Also, our main character is POC, so I just love these books. And I'm gonna read that next week. So that's that. Thank you so much for watching. Gosh, I won't get over this book. I just want to hug it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next week. Bye!